I think that the discussion will continue to evolve.
I think one way to build on what Lane said, I agree there's no canned answer. I think that's what Lane made real clear. I think that our first generation attempt at that, there's two quick answers I have from the research perspective. One is we are engaged with people who want indices, who want to fold credits up in a way, use credits as data, and create indices that are more relevant to their agency mandates. And so that's the kind of interaction. And we think that as we get that greater specificity, green building's great, green building data is really great, and that we link the achievement of certain things to agency mandates and make that linkage clear. That's something we're really interested in engaging on. We also have gotten a lot of feedback from policymakers and decision makers that they want to see comparative type dashboards. I want to compare my agency to your agency, my location to yours. And so we actually, if you look at recovery.gov right now, it basically has a community comparison function. And if you want a taste of what's in our head for a community comparison, check out recovery.gov, click their compare button, and think about what that could do to kind of engender some healthy competition between places and organizations with regard to green building.
And just to tie it back to the President's announcement, as leaderships for NGOs, for university heads, for anyone who has access to a large amount of facility space, this is a great metric by which you judge your competition. How are you showing leadership? That's as important a decision as made as to how far to go as how you're actually going to evaluate people. But there's just so many implications for a tool like this, and that's why we're really excited about it.
Yep.
A question building on that from Chris Galvin. Was there any possibility for a third party to build up an app that would set up types of competitions that you're talking about between similar sets of buildings, schools, commercial space that would motivate and encourage this type of behavior?
That is exactly why, at the moment, I don't mean to oversell it, but that's exactly why we're in this GIS space. We, over the next couple of months, will be serving this up as GIS web services that can be consumed by others. So if you're capable of creating an app or a tool, either in a GIS context or one that can consume GIS as the input, we'll be putting this out there with the idea that you can design that app. And so that's why this is both a part of a larger effort we call lead automation, which streamlines getting information in and then gets it out through an application programming interface. But this is one way that you could build that. So you really can envision, if you can envision what you think would make a difference, think about how you might consume this data. And you could also, that initial set of services will probably include projects, lead accredited professionals, what we know about the landscape of policies, a few other things. So if you think about if you could consume those and do just what you said, we're going to be standing up the ability for you to consume it.
Yeah, I'm continuously amazed by the amount of innovative ideas that come immediately after learning about GBIG that I had never thought of, and that's one of them in particular. And it's just, I want to make sure the point is drawn out that the power of this to give someone who is generally not influential on the process of green building, whether it's on the new construction side, the existing building side, the operations and maintenance side, the power of them to get involved through something like this is there, and as open as we possibly can be to make this usable, buildable, the jumping off platform for these types of innovative ideas will have done a great service.
Let me just, one last thing to echo that. My experience, I did some work with project teams, as Lane did, and I know that when you're around that table with project teams, especially, my interest is in getting a better, high-performance, greener building out of it. And I'm looking for the argument. I'm looking for what can I say to get that project to do more, to raise the bar, to have a better outcome, to be higher performance. Partly this experience is rooted in my feeling that if I could show that project where they stood against their peers on any particular issue, being below average is a really bad thing for a project team. They just don't want to be there. And that's, in addition, and I can wave a lead scorecard, that's powerful. I can talk about a credit, that's useful. I can talk about a plaque, that's great. But showing a project that they'd end up below average is the kind of thing that actually changes the dialogue around that project team table. And that's what we're talking about. So if you see other things from people on this call, who see those kind of things, that's what, Lane and I have these images of that project team room and what moves the discussion. Maybe you guys do too.
fear of embarrassment is a powerful motivator.
Do we have time for just one more question? In terms of other motivators, there's a lot of interest from our audience in linking the tool to cost and energy water consumption. You know, are there plans to do that? And when do you see this as being a primary driver for the adoption of energy efficiency opportunities?
Perfect. Good closing question. I didn't mention the fourth data service. So we will very soon have that out of the gate. We will have some information on projects that are participating in our building performance partnership. You'll be able to find the ones that actually are sharing data, and you'll be able to see the count of data of projects that are actually participating. So if you envision below that little carbon index thing, another little pull down that says performance information, for participants in BPP, this building performance partnership, that's going to be something linked into here, both as a service and as a component. So we're definitely into that. The other nice thing about this GIS environment is you guys can envision, you know, who else is out there with geographically and temporal specific information on cost and value, whether it's census information that tells us about markets or whether it's information from a major vendor like CoStar or LoopNet. Once we're all communicating in this space, the ability to mash up those things together is a technical matter. So we are fully invested in the idea of making that connection, and we know that academics, like folks at UC Berkeley and Harvard and so forth, have already been making those connections in a research mode. The question is, how do we make them day to day? And so again, we're all playing in the same sandbox now, so it's only a matter of making the connections and operationalizing.
And just another word on what BPP is as GBIG is overlaid across all the tools we have at our disposal, because it's a platform for, you know, communication, tracking, all that sort of thing. What we have with the rating systems and BPP is that they are being tailored and have been tailored and will continue to be tailored to reflect the reality that green building is a process. So if you start your green building process designing a LEED building for new construction, it has to be operated appropriately or it's not going to be really a green building. So BPP is our way of interfacing directly with building owners and operators to get them the information, another feedback loop of how they're doing compared to how they're supposed to be doing, so they can take action on that. That's explicitly linked to as they move from new construction to the EB realm, where we'd like to see that linkage happen explicitly either through BPP or on its own. And maybe you come to LEED building through LEED for existing buildings, operations, and maintenance. And BPP is then a program, a partnership program that you participate in to help improve your performance on various scales, whether that's Energy Star or LEED. You might look to upgrade and recertify either because your LEED certification is out of date or you think you can do better because you've done some retrofit improvements. All these things need to be explicitly linked, and GBIG is a way to communicate all of those successes.
That concludes the talk by Lane Burt and Dr. Chris Pyke for the USGBC. We would like to thank Dr. Chris Pyke and Lane Burt for joining us this afternoon. Lane and Chris, do you have any final thoughts for our audience today?
I appreciate your time. I hope that you'll check out and play with these things, and feel free to get in touch if you have that great idea. We like to enable that.
Fantastic. This talk will be made available through Yale iTunes University and also through our YouTube channel. You can search for Blueprint for Efficiency. If you would like a copy of the presentation, please visit the website of the Center for Business and the Environment at Yale. This presentation will be under the Carbon Finance Speaker Series for this particular talk. We will continue to delve into new technology, business models, and finance policy options as the weeks progress. We look forward to your continued participation in the talks. We thank you for joining us for Blueprint for Efficiency, part of the Carbon Finance Speaker Series at Yale. This is Stuart DeQ from the Center for Business and the Environment at Yale saying so long from New Haven, Connecticut.